Hey guys, how you doing? It's Josh from Direct Action Games. So we've got a special for you for Long War. We're going to do some tactics, and we're going to go over today the Dark Eldar and how you kind of build from a basic army, add to it, and turn it into a really tournament aggressive list. So Leigh, let's go over some tactics.
Cool, let's do it.
First, let's just kind of go over what you have here points-wise and kind of what you can add and take away from it.
Okay, so being a long-time Dark Eldar player, both successful and unsuccessful, I've started to learn a little bit about how their playstyle works, both strengths and weaknesses wise. So what we've got here is pretty much a basic 1500 point list. So that way you can see something like this, take away from it, add to it, your choice. So just to quickly round out this list, Homunculus, Grotesque, a nice big unit of them. Chuck them in a raider as well. Bulky rule, so you can only have 4 of them in there with another character. 3 Venoms, 2 Splinter Cannons each as well. This is always mandatory as well. And you should run at least a minimum of 3 in your list, I reckon, as well. Up the back here, Scourges with Heat Lances. Some people say Haywire, but I prefer the Heat Lance. It's just a personal preference, but the Haywire Blaster is. And then to kind of round off the list as well, we've got 3 Talos. Roll them together in a unit. All have twin-linked Heat Lances. I like the Heat Lance.
They are brutal.
Yeah, they are
absolutely brutal, those Talos.
Yep. Rolling a Kronos behind them as well with the Spirit Probe, so that way you get your 4+ Feel No Pain as well, which is really, really critical, and then a Razor Wing Jet Fighter. So that's a basic 1500 point list. So this one here as well, you can kind of take away a little bit from it or add to it if you have a list that you want to run with more points or less points. Okay, so the way I like to run this army is I have the Talos literally right up front. So your Talos need to be the main threat. So I'll always chuck him usually in the center of the board, and I really want my opponent to focus on that because that is a strength 7, toughness 7, 3+ armor save, 5+ feel no pain unit. So 9 wounds is a lot to get through. Yeah. Throw the Kronos behind it as well. This is the key to this army as well. The Kronos is going to up that feel no pain to a 4+, which is really, really critical.
And we've seen these go against Terminators and do really well. So
yeah, so in the battle report we had a few weeks back, a Terminator unit bounced off it. Other tournaments I've played in as well, Wraith Knights bounce off this, and that's without the Kronos support as well. Yeah. So the Talos are key to any sort of army.
And do you use them in sort of a way to bait your opponent in? Do you
Correct.
kind of put them in the middle and say, if you don't deal with these guys, you're basically going to have just a really
That's
really
exactly
hard time?
it. That is exactly it. So the idea is to keep my opponent focused on this while the rest of my army just starts to pick away at them. So this is where the Venoms come into play. So my Venoms will always,
these bad boys here,
1, 2, 3. Yep. So they'll always kind of move together as a unit. So even though they're not a unit, they will move together as a unit. And what they aim to do is just take out squads each turn. So I'm not going to sit there and try and shoot one Venom off at another target, another off at another target, because what that does, I won't be removing units from the table, which is what you need to do, because if you have that one Space Marine left over, guaranteed that'll always be the game winner for the opponent. So these guys will always go out and knock out weak squads first, so that way 1, you can try for that first blood. 2, you start actually picking away at that army, which is really demoralizing. And 3, they're just a really, really fast, annoying unit as well. So you can move from 12, still shoot at your full ballistic skill. 2 Splinter Cannons.
Okay, so what have we got next?
Grotesque. These guys are also the hidden gem in the list as well. So you got to run the Homunculus with them as well because they're leadership 4 base. So if they're going to run, they are going to run. It's going to be really, really hard to get them back into the game unless you get to about turn, I think it's turn 6 from the Power from Pain, where they become fearless. Strength 5, toughness 5. It's brutal. It's really, really brutal. Even though they've only got a 6+ save, they automatically start off with that 5+ feel no pain. If you have that Kronos near them as well, ups it to 4+. Only problem is if you chuck him in a raider like I have for this one, you may not benefit from it unless you hold that raider back and then later in the game you use it to just boom, spring forward and then launch an assault from there. The Homunculus sits with him as well, so I'll put a Flesh Gauntlet with him as well. Each of the Grotesques has a Flesh Gauntlet as well, so that's instant death. Any failed armor saves, instant death from any of those models. These are good for deleting because the amount of attacks, you'll get a few of those wounds through, and as soon as they fail 1 save, that's that unit dead. Yeah. So, Space Marines, they're good just because it's a big, strong unit, comes and hits them, but, it doesn't negate their armor at all. But you will be doing lots of hits, lots of wounds, which is fantastic. So, yeah, but I do have the Homunculus with a shadow field so he can try and tank some wounds.
Well, people love always looking at Sir, and then they're like, "Hey, I'll take it on this guy," and then they're afraid to do that because it's like, oh, instant kill, and then like,
that's exactly it.
3 wound character or whatever you try and pimp all those wounds on.
Weaknesses, I reckon.
Weaknesses, yeah.
Weaknesses.
The glass hammer of the Dark Eldar.
Yep. So
termed sometimes.
Yeah. So Dark Eldar lists, if they're gonna die, they're gonna die. This is one thing I've come across a lot in tournaments and friendly games. If the army decides to die, it is gonna die really quick. So we try and do things to mitigate the army dying. So one is play to speed and play at a distance as well. So that's why the Venoms are really good. You can sit them back 36 inches and blast away at Space Marine tactical squads, at their Devastator squads, Chaos Space Marines, Havoc squads. You can absolutely just pump wounds into those units from a distance. But if you start to get up close, enemy shooting can start to hit you, and you can also even be chased down in close combat, which is something else you really don't want with this. The other thing as well, if you really want to take out an army like this, and this is for all you people that are going to play against the Dark Eldar, especially with the Kronos, the one thing to do is ignore the Talos unit first, kill the Kronos. This is key to actually unraveling this army right here. If you unravel the Kronos, so if you get rid of that, that means their Feel No Pain goes up to a 5+. And you'll be surprised how much that actually starts to really hurt this army.
Yeah, see if you can get some poison weapons on them and stuff like that.
Poison is fantastic. Yeah. So another Dark Eldar army that runs poison heavy will really dismantle this list. I had a tournament a few weeks ago. I was mostly tabling opponents, but I came up against a really well-balanced Dark Eldar player. Army was really well balanced. He just played it really well, and he was just able to pick me apart because the poison hurt a lot.
And the flyer.
He's just there to kind of just try and wreck a little bit of face, a little bit of anti-air as well. So this army does suffer against anti-air a little bit. So if your opponent is running Storm Ravens, you're going to have a really tough time, or any other sort of fighter as well. So this is there just to kind of counter it a little bit, because it can act as both anti-infantry and also as anti-air. It's not the strongest option you can have, but you never know. Surprisingly, the Talos as well, at a tournament I had a few weeks ago, the same tournament, managed to snap a Helldrake out of the air as well. So Twinling Teat Lance, do not diss it. Do not diss it.
All right, so we'll come back and we'll add a few things to the army and see what we can do with it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're back. We've added a few more units to the army. So Leigh, what have we got?
Okay, so the one thing that you always kind of can't leave home without as well, if you're going up to bigger games, Ravagers. Yeah. Ravagers are just out of control good. So, they can sit there up in your back line, pop shots, and, really try and focus on taking out the armor. Dark Lancers, strength 8, AP 2, reduces armor anything higher than 12, back down to 12 as well. So Land Raiders, got to look out. Just an absolutely fantastic bit of war gear. So this list here, as you can see now, I've filled out my heavy support choices. So one choice in with the Talos, one with the Kronos, and now one with the Ravager. So yeah, it really starts to, eat up your choices, but is what it is. What we've also added on as well is a unit of 10 Helions. Helions are fantastic, I reckon. A lot of people say, they're kind of balls. I don't disagree with that as well, but as long as you use them correctly, they're not going to be too bad. It's similar to the Scourges as well. You kind of can't just commit them straight away and then throw them up front and expect them to do stuff. They're going to get killed. It's as simple as that. So what you need to do is use these guys, focus them on weak flanks of an army. So, if there's a squad of 5 scouts hanging around somewhere, target them. If there's a unit of cultists somewhere from the Chaos armies, take them out as well. They've got splinter pods on their weapons, so that's 2 shots at 18 inches, fantastic. It also means that they might even be able to get to charge range and then boom, charge something.
So if you're going up against Space Marines, what sort of units would you use, and kind of what would their role be, and what would you go for?
Okay, so most Space Marine armies, depending if it's tournament or friendly, you're going to find Grav Centurions in there. And they are nasty, and they are nasty to these guys. Yep. So if you really want to wipe away the Talos, or if you want to lose your Talos as a Dark Eldar player, throw them up against Grav Centurions. They're going to die. Simple as that. So what you need to do is, you're still going to use these guys as a threat. You're going to push them up the center of the board, but you're going to be focusing a lot of fire onto those Grav Centurions because you need to get rid of them. Otherwise, your army's going to fall apart and die.
Just make them roll armor saves.
Make them roll armor saves. It's that sort of thing. You just got to grind them, and then hopefully they'll start to go away.
And once you lose like 1 or 2 Grav Centurions, like it is a massive firepower loss, and it's quite a demoralizing thing.
You've really just got to hammer away at them. I know there might be other things that are going to shoot at you, start to take away your army. You just got to weather that as a Dark Eldar player, because if you can keep these guys alive, this will win your games, okay? So these 3 units here are kind of key to winning your games. Everything else, you know, you use the rest of this army to support these, okay? So this Kronos, he's a 125 point investment, but his existence is to support them, not to go off and attack something or go on his own journey in a game. He is there to support them. So, you know, that's how you most effectively utilize this army. You can also try and, another thing you can do as well is you can remove that Raider as well. Up your unit to 5 grotesques. Make sure you keep your homunculus in there as well. Keep him strong if you can. So, you know, any sort of way to keep him survivable. And then you can have them travel with the Talus as well. Have this big bomb of just, you know, Coven Dark Eldar just going through the, you know, center of the battlefield. Fantastic, you know, it takes a lot to kill it, you know, toughness 5, toughness 7. The Kronos itself is difficult to kill. So yeah, you just really got to focus on the Space Marine army by taking away anything that's going to strip these. That has to die first. And then from there, you should be able to dismantle the rest of the Space Marine force.
Another really common army you'll see is the Eldar. How would you counter some of their tactics and units?
Pray and hope you don't get shot off the board. No, just kidding. Eldar are tough, but it doesn't mean they're unbeatable. A great example I can give is, you know, everyone sees Wraith Knights and goes, crap, I'm done. You know, how do I take this thing out? Yet again, this bomb here, it'll chew through a Wraith Knight. I've done it on multiple occasions. The idea is, yet again, keep this unit alive, keep him as a threat as well. Most Eldar are going to be running Wave Serpents as well with the Serpent Shield. Now that is really annoying. So what that'll do is, any sort of light armored troop like this, or even your Venoms, it's really going to start to eat into them. But what you need to do is turn these guys into a threat yet again. So you just got to throw them straight up the center of the board, and you've got to make sure their focus is on this. So it comes down a little bit of the psychology of the game, and you making sure you effectively play this Talos bomb. During that time as well, you're going to want to really shoot some units forward. So for example, these grotesques, who cares if the Raider dies? Just throw it straight up the board as well. That is also going to be in their face, and they're going to really want to deal with it. If it blows
if they're
up,
not shooting at the grotesques, you know, or if they are shooting at the grotesques, they're definitely not going to be shooting at these guys.
And that's leaving wounds there to you know, that need to go. So this guy is not going to be effective against the Wraith Knight, but these guys are. And one thing I always take on these guys as well is the chain flails to get shred. Shred is one of the best things you can take on these guys, because most of the time they're going to be wounding on 2s, but a lot of the time that's going to happen as well is you're going to be rolling 1s, and the more you can mitigate those 1s, the better this unit is going to perform as well. So it's all about mitigating your weaknesses, and it's paying the extra points for them, and how do you make it stronger. So Eldar, you just got to weather those Wraith Knights, you got to weather the Wave Serpents, and the other one as well is the Wraith Guard with their D weapons as well. Don't charge this unit against the D Flamer weapon, because you're gonna die. But
you're gonna have a bird too.
You're gonna have a bird. So, but what is the counter to that? The Venoms. Okay, these Venoms shoot away. Just absolutely shoot them and just force those saves, force those saves, force those saves. Eldar jet bike army as well. You're going to be outmaneuvered by the Eldar regardless, but that's where this cool thing of, you know, have a strong center here. Utilize the 6-inch bubble of your Kronos as well. If you know you're going to be outmaneuvered, make sure you center him and keep everything else within that 6-inch bubble of him, because if stuff is going to blow up and die, and you can maximize your you know, your range with your Venoms, keep everything within 6 inches of him, and then you're going to be fine when these things do blow up. You're not going to lose a whole bunch of guys from inside as well to the explosion.
Alright guys, so that was a look at the Dark Eldar and some tactics. Hope you got something out of it. If you want to know more, come check us out at Direct Action Games and Leigh's beautiful painting at Bloody Brush Studio. If you've got any more questions than that, probably ask a better Dark Eldar player.
Yeah, that's a better thing to do. Ask a better Dark Eldar player.
Yeah. And yeah, so there should be some links in the description below. So come check us out, say hi, and until next time, you know, good luck.
Bye.
Let us know how your Dark Eldar goes. The glass cannon probably get wrecked. Yeah, man. Versus me, you're gonna get wrecked every time.